So I feel that the role of the workplace mentor is key to the apprentice's success through the programme. Without that personal support, without that industry champion, that person that is really going to open doors for them internally within the organisation, it's going to be a really hard road for an apprentice. So the right person supporting them within their own organisation is key.
In terms of my workplace mentor, I think they fulfil a number of roles. First and foremost is the time element. I'm very fortunate. My workplace mentor is really clear about my need to study for MBA. He's done one himself and knows the pressures. But even when we were looking at implementing this program, one of the conversations that my organisation had was, so 20%, how is that going to work on your role? And his solution was around me delegating more tasks to my team, really because of the support it would give them. And I've got to say that he's lived true to that. So there have been points in the organisation, points in the programme rather, where we've been incredibly busy. A bid that came in and we were working 12, 15-hour days to get the bid out, and yet he was still saying, yeah, but you still got your MBA, Nick.
I mean, I think in terms of being a good workplace mentor, the things that probably work best are, first off, it's that interpersonal relationship, being there to listen and care about what your apprentice is doing. It's about supporting them through the process and understanding that regardless of what they're doing within the learning, it's about the wider experience.
He's been really helpful in that process to say, yeah, here's the time, this is what we're wanting from it. Tweaking, sometimes I send him my assignments and just go, what do you reckon? And he'll go, okay, have you thought about this, that and the other? No. Okay, fair point. Off you go.
Nick was looking at some very specific stuff around culture change. Now, I've come from a culture that's different to Nick. Nick's educationalist by background. I've come from some of the private sector side, talking about how cultures within the two sides is very different. For Nick, it wasn't on his radar because he's gone from a different experience. So it's bringing your knowledge and experience to their learning and hopefully supporting them through that.
What I've found particularly useful about the tripartite review is my line manager doesn't work down here in Exeter. So first of all, it creates another opportunity for me to have a sort of face-to-face with him, normally locally, but sometimes done remotely. From a reflective and reflexive sort of point of view, it's been good to just take stock and sort of have a little bit of a review, both of the sort of short-term aims of the MBA, but to also see, again, looking further sort of downstream to the end point assessment and where we're trying to get in terms of particularly the work-based learning project.
Well, my workplace mentor is also my line manager, and I think that relationship works really well because when we have our one-to-ones, we can look back at my personal development plan, for example, and we can look not just 6 months ahead, but we've looked 3 years ahead. So it's really helped to think about how things might develop in the future and what the sort of succession planning and things might be and how this MBA might then tie into that.
I think I have a very good relationship with both of the apprentices that I mentor, but it's a different relationship. So you could say that being friends is a little bit of it, but you also have to maintain that barrier because you have to be able to challenge alongside mentor, and that challenge will come both ways, so you have to be prepared for that.
If we're discussing a particular issue with the organisation or something that's gone on in the team, there are often occasions where I can say, oh, we've picked up this tip in the marketing module, for example, and maybe we should look at that. And so it's good to kind of share the learning, but also to have the wealth of her expertise because, she's been a manager longer than I have.
Without a very supportive workplace mentor, I think people will struggle. They're absolutely key in an organisation getting the benefit and the individual getting the benefit. So I think that's the key aspect for me.
Everyone's putting themselves out there a little bit, and there's a vulnerability to that, but I believe that there is something to be got from both sides. There's no harm in letting your own personality show and letting them get to know you so that the relationship will develop. And you're never quite sure where it's going to go, I suppose, like any relationship.